SOP is critical to prevention. In other words, here, anything that has a whiteboard here that has some planning, what has been done, where are we up to, how many units have been made, it's all about documenting. It's all part of the prevention. Okay. It's all part of prevention activities that factories need to pay attention to. So far, in the first half, I spent maybe too much time, but I think it's okay. I spent considerable time on prevention, looking at, well, what do prevention costs mean? What do we mean by appraisal, internal failure, and external failure? So now, basically, that's what Horngren says they are. What I want to do is actually show you rather than just tell you what these are, okay? So now you can go back, design, process, supplier evaluations, preventative equipment mate. By the way, supplier evaluations, prevention costs. Supplier evaluations is frequent times where you actually evaluate the supplier. So you come in and you inspect these, you evaluate the supplier every 3 months to decide, do you buy more from the supplier or less from the supplier? Like the big brand names around the world, they have many suppliers for any one component. Like Apple and Microsoft and HTC, all the phone manufacturers, they have 300, 400, 500 suppliers. That's not unusual, okay? The phone that you've got in your pocket, that has between 180 and 200 components inside. And when Apple's making 220 million of those devices each year, and you're supplying components, then you've got to supply in the millions, right? Every month, 10 million a month is not unusual. Wow. And so supplier evaluations are very critical for these companies because suppliers want a higher purchase order, then they've got to pass the evaluation every 3 months. All right. Appraisal costs, inspection, online product manufacturing, product testing, internal failure, spoilage, rework, scrap, machine repairs. I won't show it now, but if you have a look, my most popular video on YouTube is the Bluetooth manufacturer. And if you go into about it's interesting, if you go into about, I think the 3rd or 4th minute, we actually show you the quality control sheet of the failure that's happened that morning. And some of the failures was due to poor inspection of the receiving materials. Like, you've got to do receiving materials inspection. I spoke to the owner, why don't you have receiving materials inspection? Because your products are failing because you've got this circuit that's coming from another supplier, you put it in your product and it fails. Not because of your assembly, but because you've got a dud circuit that's being supplied to you. And he said, for $4 US, this Bluetooth item, for $4 US, I'm not going to waste money on receiving inspection. That was the attitude of the owner, right? Anyway, you can see that it's on YouTube, so I won't bother you, waste too much of your time with that. Okay, so some of you are thinking about framework, some of you want to do honours or PhD, you want to go into a little bit higher detail about what do we mean by quality, then here's a whole framework, okay, where in the end of the day, we've got customer expectations and we've got satisfied customers. And at the heart of it, remember, this can be like let me draw something, all right? All right? So in some ways, let's have a look. This is your customer perspective, okay? And, right? And so then here is your internal process perspective in the balanced scorecard. You with me? All right? There's the processes here. I'm going to show you in the next 15 minutes is how to get information about these in your accounting system and you put it into a report. This is a report here, all right? So when we say these are costs, you go down on the production line, you cannot see the cost. You do not see a cost there. There's not something there that says, oh, I'm a cost. No, you see people, you see faulty products, you see customer complaints. You do not see costs. You with me here, right? Your job is to try and find in the accounting system the items that relate to employing someone to make all of those cards that go at the top of every person's workplace. Employing someone to do appraisal, someone checking here, and then customer complaints. You've got to take all the costs associated with those things, your job as accountants, and then put it into a report here. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. And remember, traditionally, the idea, the Western idea of quality was, well, we're going to have failure costs. They will go down if we make the quality perfect, but prevention and appraisal is going to go up. So let's just do it. Let's just make quality here. All right? Let's not go past here. That was a conventional view, but what we learned from the Japanese is that, wait a minute. What we learned from the Japanese is that if we invest more in prevention and appraisal, over time, you won't need to invest more such that prevention and appraisal will go down because you've put all the systems in place that are reoccurring. You're with me here? So you don't have to invest more. And if that's the case, then your optimal cost of quality is something like down here, right? Therefore, you can aim at making perfect quality. And that is what the US auto industry learnt from the Japanese. That is what is being practiced in smartphone manufacturing today. It's all about making things perfect. And you can do that, all right? So prevention appraisal is not something that just gets higher and higher and higher. If you do a prevention appraisal properly, over the long term, that can go down as well. So I just want to share with you two different ideas of thought about what is the optimal quality we should be aiming at. Okay, this is not part of the exam, but I want you to think about, those of you who are interested in economics may want to think about, okay, if we invest in quality, then this is what we are trying to achieve. Either lower manufacturing costs, higher value on the customer side, or lower costs here, or higher value here on this side, okay? So we're reducing costs, we're trying to increase value. Okay, and so this will increase revenues, and here we have lower costs, so then financial performance goes up. Notice that in some ways, this is like an upside down balanced scorecard. Can you see that? Have a look, class. Turn it around the other way. It's like upside down balanced scorecard. There's your customer perspectives here, going to a higher market share, increased financial performance. There's your process perspective here, going into financial performance. It's all, so it's not, the balanced scorecard is not a rocket science. Okay, tour of a car. Okay, let's just keep moving here. All right, so now we're going to do an example. We're going to do an actual example. So this was taken from Horngren, chapter 19, and the name of the company, I don't know if Horngren has changed the name. By the way, this was taken out of the 14th edition. It's in the 16th edition, but they may have changed the dates, that is all, okay? In other words, in the 14th edition, they had 2013. I think in the 16th edition they changed it to 2016. Right. So, but the same idea. All right. So we want to determine the cost of quality using activity-based costing. We want to try and measure quality here. Okay. So first of all, when I introduce an example when I'm teaching, I need you to get into the mood. And in other words, what are we making here? What are we making? Is this a restaurant or is this a manufacturer? It's a manufacturer, then what are they making? Let's have a look. Photocopy machines. Well, let's underline it. So let's just picture, let's make sure we have our, so it's, okay, all right. So also notice, right, we can actually go through these steps here and we're going to look at some different detail. So for example, photocopy machines use 240 inspection hours, okay? You can underline data when you do an exam question. You want to go through with a red pen or a highlighter and just highlight key data points, and that will help you focus in the exam, okay? Here, notice indirect costs of quality allocated to the product. In other words, quality-related inspection costs are 9.6 million. In other words, we have to hire someone to do inspection. Wow, okay? And so we can compute the total cost of quality by adding up all the direct costs and all the indirect costs. So let's go to the example now. Just wanted to highlight, okay, number one, they're making photocopy machines. Number two, there's lots of inspections being done, and they're being done by people. And there are other costs associated with the supply of the photocopy machines. So let's have a look at the activity-based analysis. In other words, what we're doing now is we're starting to tabulate the different types of costs that could be grouped under prevention, appraisal, internal, and external. So let's just underline them again. Okay. Okay. And you can understand that prevention, what is prevention again? Prevention is all about building in good practice. Okay, so how do you build it in? You design it into the engineering. How do you build it in? You create proper worksheets for each workplace. So, and making sure that people follow all the procedures. Okay, so it's about process engineering. It's about design engineering. It's about designing how processes work in the organisation. Right. So appraisal. Repeat again. It's all about inspection. Okay. So in order to invest in all of these activities, then that costs money. You have to hire people, and those people spend lots of hours. Remember what I said about Apple? At one stage they had 15 inspectors, one for each of their assembly lines in the Foxconn unit when something wrong happened. Those inspectors cost money, and so those 15 inspectors would be around here. Okay, appraisal costs. Okay. What we're going to do now is go to the next stage and start to think about. Right, just before we go there, I just want you to think about. I think you can get prevention costs. I think now you understand what we mean by appraisal costs. I think you know what internal failure means. That is, something goes wrong, but you catch it before it goes outside. Remember, like the teddy bear. Remember the needle in the teddy bear? You will never forget that, ever, will you? Whenever you buy a teddy bear, you will check, right? Before you actually leave the store, just check, make sure that there's no needle in the bear, okay? Or if there is a needle, then what they would do in the USA is, they'll buy it and they'll go out and then they will, blood, lawsuit. I contacted my lawyer, we're going to sue this company, all right? There's a needle in the teddy bear, okay? Don't worry, things like that happen, okay? All right, so let's have a look at, I think the trickiest part where students have trouble is thinking about how do we quantify external failure costs. And then there's this idea called opportunity costs, and that is the opportunity costs. There are three types of opportunity costs. There are the future lost sales, okay? There is the price decline, and finally there's the costs of production, lost capacity. Let me repeat, and this is one part that students have a lot of trouble on. Let me see if I can. Opportunity costs are lost sales. Sales down price. All right, and lost capacity. What do you mean by lost capacity? Well, you invested $10 million into this capacity that can make 10,000 teddy bears per month. Suddenly, a customer finds a needle, and then the word gets around, don't buy this teddy bear. So suddenly, that $10 million investment, right, you cannot make anything with it because no one is buying your teddy bears. So that $10 million investment is an opportunity cost. Maybe they will buy your teddy bears, but at a reduced price. So that's the price opportunity cost. Okay? And less people will buy your teddy bears because of word of mouth. Don't buy teddy bears from this company. They've got needles in them. All right? There's your lost sales. Okay? So when we talk about external failure, they are the big three items you need to remember. Very critical. And I think students have trouble understanding that part. Okay. So let me repeat that again. That the opportunity costs, lost contribution margin, income foregone from lost sales, lost production, and lower prices, okay? So lost production means that's really associated with you're not using that facility that you invested money in, okay? Whereas this is lost sales from the fact that, well, no one wants to buy from you anymore. And lower prices, well, all your teddy bears have to go from Robinson. You cannot sell it in Robinson anymore. You have to sell it in a $10 shop. Are you with me here? Okay. So I think that's the trouble, the biggest challenge that a lot of students have in this area. Okay. So let's go, and again, I want to remind you of the theme. And the theme is we want to get the attention of CEOs, CFOs, and CIOs. So we need to put something into a report. Okay, so let's get this report. So we got an example of Osborne Limited. It was exercised 1916. That was in edition 14. Okay, so they produce cell phone equipment. Sounds like an old cell phone here. That's an old Motorola, that one. Okay, and they decided to devote more resources to the improvement of product quality after learning that a company had been ranked 4th in product quality in a 2011 survey of cell phone users. Osborne's quality improvement program has now been in operation for 2 years, and a cost report shown here has recently been issued. So let's have a look at this. All right, so what do you have to do if this is an exam question? First of all, we're interested in calculating the ratio of each cost of quality category to revenues. Now, based on the results in requirement 1, would you conclude that the quality program has been successful? Prepare a short report. Then, based on a 2011 survey, how might Wesley estimate the opportunity cost of not implementing the program? Again, if you are asked in the exam to talk about opportunity costs, then you talk about 3 things, okay? Lost revenues, lost production capacity opportunity, and lost price power, okay? 1, 2, 3. Revenue, production, price. RPP. Okay, let's have a look now. So here is our cost of quality report. Now in the exam, it's often exam questions that will tell you, what are the costs of each of these areas. It may be that they will tell you how much the maintenance is training or inspection or testing or scrap. They'll tell you that. Your job is to actually put it into these 4 groups. Another exam question could be, well, they may ask you to, all right, here are all the things the company is doing. Which one of these is prevention? Which one of these is appraisal? Which one is internal? Which one is external? You see? So you need to be able to do 2 things. You need to be able to classify, and then once you have classified, you need to be able to do the second thing. The second thing is you need to be able to put the data into the report. 2, we need to analyse this report, because we don't just give a report to the CFO. Oh, here's the cost of quality report. Bye. No. Here's the cost of quality report, and this is what it means. Okay? As accountants, your value is higher if you can explain a report. Your value is not in just producing a report. Your value is in being able to say, well, what does the report mean? Okay, so what I'm going to do now is let's go through and find out, is there something we can say about this report? Okay. First of all, we're in June 2012, December 2012, June 2013, December 2013. Okay, so we're looking at 2 years. 6 months to 6 months, 6 months, and 6 months. Okay? Right. So the first 6 months, we have total. Let's just have a look at this. I think the best way to start the report is to think about just have a look at this. Let's just start what we've got here. Total quality costs, we have 25% in prevention, 21%, 17%, and 36%. Wow. Okay, so there's external failure is costing the company a lot of money. All right, out of the total of all the costs associated with quality, 36% is associated with external failure, and this is something where you want to reduce. You cannot afford to have external failure and be sustainable. Actually, there's a new unit I think they've asked me to teach next year called Sustainability and Supply Chain Management, and I'm thinking, sustainability? Oh, I'll just teach this. A cost of quality report is all about, this is what sustainability is about. Sustainability is about investing here in prevention, investing in prevention and reducing these to 0. Let me repeat, sustainability is about investing here. So what did we do in the second 6 months? Well, we invest, we've got 20 million here, now we invest another 80, so now we go 100 million in supplier training, and we invest more in design reviews. Suddenly, our percentage of revenues in total prevention costs has gone up. Our percentage of total quality costs have gone up. Okay, notice the incoming inspection costs have gone down. Total appraisal costs have gone down. Why is that? Maybe inspectors don't have to inspect as much once you've started to build in these fail-safe preventative measures. Ah, wow. Can we do that? Sure you can. Can you fire inspectors? Sure you can. Yes, you can. All right? So what about internal failure costs? Well, internal failure costs was at 17.4%, and we had 124 million here, but now that's gone down. Good. And external failure costs, warranty repairs has gone down, customer returns have gone down just a little bit. Okay, still pretty high, but let's have a look at the second year. So now we continue to invest, but remember, now we just put 50 million into prevention. We go from 123 to 90, we fire some more inspectors, and then notice our rework is going down, and also warranty repairs and customer returns. Oh, by the way, I wrote a case study on a famous television manufacturer in China, and what was happening in that case was the retail offices, customers were buying the TVs, they take them home, they plug it in, and they say, oh, the TV is not working as it should. And part of the reason was that the antenna the customers had at their home was different from the perfect antenna feed that was in the shop. So the customers would take the TV back, and they were getting a lot of TV returns. But the salespeople in the retail shop, to save time in really testing whether the TV works or not, they just said, oh, this is a reject, and then they send it back to the manufacturer. And the manufacturer was getting all these rejects, and they were testing the rejects, and over half of them, the TVs were perfect. Okay? But anyway, I wasn't allowed to write it in the case study, but the manufacturer basically just took those TVs, reboxed them, and put them back and sent them out to the stores for sale again as brand new. All right? These things happen. Okay? So be careful when you go and buy a TV next, okay? Just, all right. So what was the problem here? The problem was in the control over the retail offices and the way they dealt with the customer returns. Because the customers believed that it was the TV's fault, when in fact, it was the problem with the aerial of the customer. You with me here? So is that prevention, appraisal, internal or external? Like those return TVs came back as external failures, but really that television manufacturer could invest in preventative costs by training sales staff to make sure that the customers understand the quality of the signal, right? Or investing also in appraisal costs, that is when TVs come back into the store, right, not to the factory, into the store and the customer's complaining, then the store tests the TV properly to really find out what the real problem is, okay? Because if nothing wrong with the TV, the customer cannot bring the TV back. All right? So that's a real life case that I wrote based in China. All right, so now let's have a look at quarter 3. Notice that now our prevention's gone from 34% down, it's gone up to 40% now, but the total prevention cost investment has gone from 214 to 210, and now external failure has gone from 29% down to 20%, and we go to the final quarter, now it's gone down to 200 prevention. Internal inspection's gone down. Why? Because you're having less problems, because everyone is doing the right thing. And now we have internal failure costs going down from 236 to 179, and we have external failure down from 336 down to 256. Suddenly, we have 2 million. In total costs here. We've cut it down by 800,000, down to 1.2 million here. Okay, I keep on saying these are in millions, but you can see a reduction of 40% of total quality costs, right? And so what the report is showing, it's a financial report, but it is showing that if you want to get the attention of the CEO, the CFO, to invest more in prevention measures, you show them this report, you explain to them, you know, here is what we've been doing, we want to continue doing this, and you show them, look, based on what we're doing in the last 2 years, we have saved the company $800,000. And the CFO will say, really? You've done that? Can you save us more? Sure, if we invest in machine A, and here's our plan. Oh, you got my attention now. Yes, let's do it. Tick, I'll sign off on that. You with me here? All right? So you use this report. This is not to shareholders. This is not accounting financial report. You with me here? All right? This is not for the stakeholders. Right? We don't care about investors. We're not here. Management accounting, we don't care about shareholders. All right? All right? All we care about is that company increases its value, it reduces its costs, it becomes more sustainable. We want sustainability. And this is a report that shows a kind of like a cause effect. If we invest here, we can actually reduce costs here. If we, let's just show you what it looks like, all right? We invested here, we invested more, and then we just kept it at that, invested less, right? But what happened here? These costs just went down, 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 down. These costs went down, 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 down. You with me? All right? What was the big catalyst? The catalyst was here. Ah, you with me here? So the report is to get the attention and to show that if you give me this money, Mr. CFO, I can get things happening that can get this scenario to occur in the next 2 years. Ah, and then you got their attention, and then you get the money. So let's just wrap up today, because what I'm going to do this afternoon, I'll give you a quick preview. All right? And, sorry, excuse me. Let me just finish off, because part of the second question is, has Osborne's quality program been successful? Well, total quality costs have gone from 24% to 14%. External failure costs have gone down. Internal failure costs have gone down. Appraisal costs, they went up, but then they went down. Okay? And I showed you with the graphics anyway. All right? So basically I explained to you that. All right? But here is the tricky part that students have problems with. All right? How might you estimate opportunity cost of not implementing the program? Okay? So some managers, they like to hear the bad news. Other managers want to hear the good and the bad. Other managers just want to hear, just give me the good news. Just tell me what I have to do. All right? Other managers say, well, look, if we don't do this, tell me what the worst case scenario is. Okay? That's what we mean by opportunity cost. Okay? Tell me what the worst case scenario is. If you do not give me the money, all right, just before you've asked, get out of my office before we close the door. Sorry, Mr. CFO, if you do not give me the money, this is what can happen. And that's what we mean by opportunity costs, all right? If you do not do this, all right, sales and market share will continue to decline, all right? The company will have to compete on price. What does this mean? What does this really mean? This means going from Robinson's to, what's a cheap outlet store? Come on, give me a name. I know. Daisio, right? Am I right? All right. That's all right. So when we talk about competing on price, it's about you being downgraded from a high end to a lower end. All right. Okay. All right. Sales and market share, you get that, and then the other one is you may not be able to use all of your capacity that you invested in expanding. Okay. All right. So that finishes that example. Okay, this afternoon we're going to start off, we will start off here this afternoon. What I'm going to do this afternoon is we're going to have a similar example where I'm going to teach you how to put data into a report to show, okay, if we have machine 1, this is the effect machine 1 is going to have on prevention, appraisal, internal, external. If we have machine 2, this is the effect. And so in other words, you do the second part of the report is presenting 2 scenarios to the CFO. So not asking them to choose, you say, look, here are 2 scenarios, let's go with one and here are the reasons why. Okay? So what you've done today is I've taken you through a cost of quality report, but the big idea today to go away with is now you understand and you see with your very own eyes by looking at the factories I showed you, what do we mean by appraisal? Okay? What do we mean by inspection? Now this afternoon, I've got a special treat for you. I'm going to take you through a real live audit of 2 factories I did. Okay? And we're going to have the red factory and the blue factory, and you're going to get to choose which factory that we should buy from. Okay? And this is a real audit that someone contracted me to do more than a year ago in China, and then I show you the results. The person ended up buying from one factory, then they had certain problems, and I explained to you. Very interesting story, but it really gets down to auditing is all about starting to understand where are these factories in terms of quality. Where are they? Okay, so that's what we're going to do this afternoon. I think it's going to be action-packed. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you for coming this morning. Thank you.